She pretended to be my future wife, and it changed everything. Sometimes the strangest people walk into your life at exactly the moment you need them. The crazy part, the woman everyone believed was my future wife was a complete stranger. Neither of us expected the lie to last more than 10 minutes. Instead, it changed both of our lives forever. My name is Mason, and this is how I accidentally introduced a stranger as my fiancé. 3 years ago, my life was a mess. I just turned 30. My startup had failed. I'd moved back into a tiny apartment, and every phone call from my parents ended the same way. So, are you seeing anyone yet? Apparently, being single was a bigger family emergency than losing my business. Then my cousin announced his engagement. That meant another huge family reunion, which also meant dozens of relatives asking why I was still unmarried. I honestly considered pretending to be sick. Instead, I went. Big mistake. I'd barely walked through the front door before my aunt cornered me. "When are we finally meeting your girlfriend?" Another relative chimed in. "You aren't getting any younger?" I forced a smile and escaped outside. Standing in the driveway, I seriously considered leaving. That's when I noticed a woman arguing with a taxi driver. She'd accidentally booked the wrong address for a wedding across town. She looked frustrated. I offered to help. After sorting out the confusion, we started talking while she waited for another ride. Her name was Emily. She was funny, confident, and completely unaware of the family circus happening inside my parents' house. Without thinking, I joked, "Want to earn $50 pretending to be my fiancé for 5 minutes?" She laughed. "I'm listening." I explained everything, the nonstop questions, the awkward family pressure. She thought it was hilarious. Then she said something I never expected. "Keep your money." "I'll do it." 5 minutes. That was the deal. We walked inside together. I introduced her as my girlfriend. The room instantly changed. The questions stopped. Everyone suddenly became welcoming. My grandmother hugged Emily before she'd even finished saying hello. My mom looked like she just won the lottery. I thought we'd survive one conversation, then she'd quietly leave. Instead, my family absolutely adored her. They insisted she stay for dinner, then dessert, then family photos. Every time Emily tried to leave, someone pulled her into another conversation. Watching her improvise answers about our relationship was honestly impressive. She remembered everyone's names, laughed at my uncle's terrible jokes, even helped my little niece finish a puzzle. At one point, my mom whispered, "She's perfect for you." I almost confessed everything right there. Then disaster struck. Grandma stood up during dinner, raised her glass, and announced, "I've been waiting years for this." She handed Emily a small velvet box. Inside was our family's engagement ring. The room erupted into applause. My heart nearly stopped. Emily looked at me in complete panic. For a split second, neither of us knew what to do. Then she smiled politely, closed the box, and said, "This is incredibly kind. But I think Mason should decide when the time is right." Somehow, she saved us. That evening, after finally escaping the reunion, I apologized at least 20 times. Emily laughed the entire way to her taxi. She admitted she'd had more fun than she'd expected. We exchanged numbers, mostly so I could thank her properly. I assumed that would be the end of it. It wasn't. A week later, my mother called. She wanted to invite Emily to Sunday lunch. Apparently, everyone missed her. I confessed everything, or at least, I tried to. Before I could explain, Mom interrupted. "Whatever you're about to say, don't let that girl get away." I hung up without correcting her. Instead, I called Emily. She couldn't stop laughing. Then she said, "I'll come." Sunday lunch turned into movie nights. Movie nights became coffee. Coffee became actual dates. The funny part? Neither of us knew exactly when we stopped pretending. There was never a dramatic confession, no grand romantic speech. One evening, while walking through a park, Emily reached for my hand, completely naturally. Neither of us mentioned the fake engagement anymore. It had quietly become something real. 6 months later, we finally told our families the truth. Silence filled the room. My dad blinked twice. My brother burst out laughing. Grandma looked offended. So, you weren't engaged? No. You just met? Yes. She stared at us for a few seconds, then started laughing harder than anyone else. I knew something looked suspicious. You two smiled too much. Everyone relaxed. The secret was finally over, or so we thought. Then Grandma opened a drawer. She pulled out the same velvet box she'd offered months earlier. This time, she handed it directly to me, no pretending. When you're ready, ask her properly. I carried that ring for almost a year, waiting, planning, making absolutely sure. Then one autumn evening, I proposed at the same park where Emily first reached for my hand. She said yes before I even finished asking. Today, we've been married for 3 years. Sometimes people ask how we met. We usually tell the short version. Sometimes, if there's enough time, we tell the whole unbelievable story. Looking back, I realized something important. The fake relationship didn't become real because we fooled everyone. It became real because neither of us expected anything. There were no games, no pretending to impress each other, no pressure, just two strangers, laughing their way through an impossible situation. Ironically, the only fake part was how we met. Everything after that became completely genuine. Life has a strange sense of humor. I went to a family reunion trying to avoid questions about being single. Instead, I met the woman who actually became my wife. Not because I was searching for love, but because I accidentally invited it inside. If you've ever experienced a coincidence that completely changed your life, share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the best chapters of your life begin with a plan that was never supposed to work.